Hello friend, welcome to Tempestus, where we sift through the noise so you don't have to. I'm Brian Hart.
I'm Karen McFarland Holman.
Today I am going to be talking about this amazing newsletter and website led by women.
And I am going to be sharing the best book I've read this year. Let's get to it.
I am going to be talking about a newsletter slash website. And this one is Cup of Joe. So Cup of Joe was founded in January 2007 by Joanna Goddard. Cup of Joe covers style, design, food, culture, travel, relationships, and parenting. Joanne began writing and editing for publications including Glamour and New York, and then launched Cup of Joe as a weekend hobby. After a few years, the site grew and it became her full-time job. Her readers are enthusiastic women who love discovering new things. Spoiler alert, not just women, because I like reading this. I've talked before about, and this kind of theme of this podcast slash YouTube week is that looking at things from a different perspective, different people's points of view, and this definitely fits that. So the really cool thing about this, the team for Cup of Joe is all women. So along with Joanna, there's Maureen Heffernan, Kimberly Rhodes, Christine Han, Jenny Rosenstock, and Christine Pride. Hopefully I said those somewhat right. They have 4 main sections on the website: style, design, food, and relationships. Their articles include do you have a lucky meal? How to support a sick friend? What do you love about the way you look? Salad tragedies. So a gamut of all kinds of things. Fun things, informational things, point of view. So many good things. They have recipes, music suggestions, quotes, link packs, book, TV, and movie suggestions. They have an amazing comment section. This has actually been pointed out by Kotke, a former Cool Sheet, one of my favorite blogs. And sometimes those comments actually become articles themselves. So 11 reader comments on childhood memories, 12 readers share what they love about their looks, 12 readers shared their meaningful tattoos. So many good things about this website and newsletter is where I get most of my things on Cup of Joe.
I know that I'm going to love this.
Oh, yeah. So you haven't heard of this?
No.
Because I think they have, it's a pretty big one, which, there's a million things in the world. That's why we sift through the noise so you don't have to.
Yes.
Yes, this is a really good one.
And they kind of remind me of us.
They do. They're just...
in that kind of pulling from many different places.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Curating.
And very positive, very cool. And yeah, I love the fact that it's kind of curated for women, but you know what? I think guys can get a ton of value from this. First of all, to know what you ladies are up to.
Yeah, that's right.
What's going on with you guys? Because, I have zero clue. I'm a guy. I have no idea what's going on. I barely know what's going on in this brain. Usually it's food and, something I can't talk about. Okay. But I love it. It's a really cool perspective. A lot of these are really universal things that relate to anybody. So it's so good. I usually look at the newsletter, but then I kind of started for the Cool Sheets, started diving into the website, and I was like, I want to check this out even more, especially their link pack. I'm like, I'm going to get a lot of Cool Sheets from this.
Definitely. Ooh, watch out, because now I might start getting Cool Sheets from that. We have so many now, though. So many different things we've talked about.
Absolutely.
We can get things from.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we could both get 10 or 5 each.
Yes.
On the same day, and they'd all be different.
Yes.
Because there's so many good things from this website.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'll be checking that out for sure.
All right.
My Cool Sheet, I am going to be talking about a book. This book is called The Three Mothers. So let me ask you this. How many of us know the names Alberta King, Louise Little, and Bertus Baldwin? So few of us, I'm imagining. But if I were to then add that these are the 3 mothers of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and James Baldwin, then you'd know exactly who I was talking about. Anna Malika Tubbs has written this magnificent book. It's not only an incredibly in-depth series of 3 parallel stories of these 3 women, but it also highlights significant historical and cultural events in U.S. history. It gives context to Black experience in Jim Crow and post-Jim Crow eras and reminds us of the atrocities of white-dominated society. It also reminds us that when there is an important person in history, they are not only great because of that they ascended out of their own greatness, but they are all products of a huge series of events and other people impacted by those people that were most important in their lives. And in these three cases, all three mothers were critical in the impact of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and James Baldwin. I want to talk a little bit about vignettes from this book that I hope will give you a feel of the importance of understanding the whole picture that these women and the decades that led up to the lives that these men led. Louise Little, Malcolm X's mother, she stood up to a group of white men when she was home with her children while her husband was away. And Malcolm's older brother, Wilfred, recounted what it was like to be next to his powerful mother in that moment. He said, "My mother, pregnant with Malcolm at the time, stood there and just had no fear. I never saw anyone who could tell you off so intelligently and never use a word of profanity. But when she got through, you'd feel like you had been beaten up." So again, this is a magnificent book called The Three Mothers.
Ooh, man, this sounds really, really good. Like
And
a
I have
must
the book
read.
here. Yes. Oh, it is a must read.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Dang, cool.
My goal was to talk about it around Mother's Day, but I didn't finish it. I got distracted with all sorts of other things. I didn't finish it. And I thought, who cares? It doesn't need to be around Mother's Day. It doesn't need to be around any certain time of year at all. This is a really great book in
Very
so many
important.
ways.
Any time of year. Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
yes. So again, Anna Malika Tubbs wrote this book. I believe it was her PhD thesis.
Oh,
That's
cool.
where it comes from. And
Wow.
indeed, she went so in depth in talking about not just the mothers, but each of their parents, where they came from, what their lives were like, and just going from there. There's so many stories and vignettes of every kind, and then ushers through into the stories of each of the men's lives. But of course, she doesn't need to focus on that because those three lives are so well known, and so she just it's like she creates this huge orbit around them, and it's really great.
It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that is so cool. Yeah, I cannot wait to try to check that out. And yeah, I mean, my mother has played such an important part of my life. You know, there's that saying about behind every successful man is a woman, and a lot of the times that's maybe their partner, and it's pretty outdated. But a lot of the times that's not just their partner, it's their mother. You know, mothers are big influences on people, and that, again, not men or women, both. You know, it's so important, and I'm feel very lucky that my mom played such a important influence in how I grew up, and has made me such a good person.
Mine too.
Thank
Thank you, Mom, if you're watching.
And to get that reinforced and hear other people's stories.
Definitely.
Incredible.
Yeah, and with some people it's not so obvious, but with James Baldwin, he dedicated a lot of his written work to his mother. They wrote back and forth letters all the time, and he has a poem written about her, specifically about her. And so sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's not obvious, but you can just tell by who they are that their mother played a role in some way.
That's so cool.
So.
Wow, very inspiring. Don't forget that you can check out all of those on our show notes, links to these things at 10bestest.com/1000. That'll take you to our website, just a really quick minimal list on everything that we've talked about. So definitely check that out.
Yes.
I know I will.
Yep, gives you a little springboard into learning more.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, friend. I'm Brian Hart.
I'm Karen McFarland Holman.
And let me know in the comments, do you have a lucky food dish?
And write in the comments, what's the best book you've read this year?
If you're enjoying the show, please give us a like and share it with a friend.
And stay tuned tomorrow for another fantastic show.
And don't forget to stay curious.